Hey guys, hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to the channel. So, our good friend Max Convexity already tackled this topic, so you can check his video out when you get the chance. So I thought I'd give my interpretation of how if CRSH could save TSLY. So let's go into it. So I think like CRSH looks promising, but I'm not sure if it could fully save TSLY. I'll get to that in a second. So just as a matter of disclosure, I've not re-entered my TSLY position, and I currently have no position in CRSH. I'm taking a wait and see approach this time. I don't want to like rush into things and kind of mess myself up. But I do still own like a regular TSLA position, just so I can maybe do some covered calls when the time is right to lower my cost basis. So like at some point I may reestablish TSLY and CRSH. I think like these type of ETFs could create like an interesting dynamic. So the current situation is, however, that the number of contracts between TSLY and CRSH, they're mismatched. Well, obviously because like CRSH is still pretty young. So, this is something that I'm gonna have to like constantly monitor. And, if you decide to enter any of these ETFs, like you should do so as well. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to be delta neutral? And you have to ask yourself, do you want to be fully hedged? Because like the number of like synthetic Tesla shares that you have between like TSLY and CRSH will kind of change over time, and I'll get to that in a second. So the data is as of May 3rd, and I'm gonna, just to simplify the analysis, I'm gonna assume the goal that you want is to be delta neutral. So let's take a look at the current structure. So at the time of this recording, Tesla was trading at around 181 bucks, and on the left hand side you see like the short premium positions as of that's going to expire on May 10th, and then in the middle over here you see like the July 19th, uh, the long the long and short combos for TSLY CRSH. So you can see like right off the bat, like TSLY is kind of funky because it has like three short strikes, one at 225, one at 185, and another one at 182.5. And then on the short put side, you have like one at 175. So in terms of like the long side, like the 181 and 182.5, it's really tight. So there's not a lot of wiggle room here, at least for like these number of contracts. And then also like at the 175, it's a little too tight for my liking. But I guess like again, CRSH is pretty new, so like, you have to give them a little bit of slack, and then obviously this position will change. And then you'll also notice like at least like for this round of options, like you'll notice like the long put over here, like the 180 cancels out the 180 short put over here, and then vice versa, the short call at the 180 cancels out the long call over there. So this is potentially like delta neutral, but it's not fully delta neutral, just because like the number of contracts is really different for TSLY and CRSH, because TSLY has been like the first yield max product, so of course it's gonna have a lot of money behind it, so the number of contracts is gonna be different. So if we are gonna look at this just from like a delta perspective, I just wanted to kind of show you like how much potential hedging power that CRSH has. So basically what I did was I compiled like everything in a list, and I kind of just like went on like the Thinkorswim platform just to get the amount of like deltas, and you can probably do this yourself as well. And actually I encourage people to kind of do this yourself, because you're obviously your trading platform better than I would, and of course like the delta for everybody is going to change depending on when you look at it. So just at this particular snapshot, if we're just looking at deltas, you can see like potentially for one contract, you could potentially have 108 deltas, or if you want to look at the other side for CRSH, you could potentially have up to almost covers like 70% of like TSLY for every one share of CRSH. Or the other one, the way to think about this, you would need 154 CRSH for every 100 TSLY. However, obviously right now, TSLY, there's a big imbalance between TSLY and CRSH in terms of size. So I adjusted this number for, I guess like I cheekily called this like the tourist adjusted delta, because you have to adjust for like the number of contracts. So if we do that, you can see right away like TSLY is much bigger than CRSH. So another way to look at this is, for every one share of TSLY that you want to hedge, you would need 265 shares of CRSH. And obviously, this is not practical for most people. Uh, and even if you're like a larger trader, I still don't think this would make the most sense. But this is just to show you like how like the size difference between the two ETFs. So I kind of redid this again using like the proportion method. So this is another factor that you might want to consider. You want to see like your own, like how many shares of TSLY that you have in relation to like the number of shares outstanding. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of this argument, I'm just gonna call this the partial share adjustment. So basically, I did like another like a ratio over here. So for example, like near the right hand side, like I'm assuming that you have like 100 shares of TSLY, and then I'm comparing it against like the number of shares outstanding to get this percentage, and then I'm also doing like the number of, like I'm gonna assume that you're gonna hold 75 shares of CRSH compared to 125,000 shares outstanding for CRSH to get this percentage over here. And then I adjusted like the kind of like the deltas just to kind of like equalize them. So like if you want to do like something like 100 shares of TSLY to 75 shares of CRSH, that gets you to like a delta neutral position. But of course, like this is, there's like so many factors in play, and of course, like, by the time you watch this, like these numbers will change, because of course, like the number of shares outstanding is going to change for TSLY and CRSH, and then like, I don't know how much shares of the TSLY that you currently own, so you kind of like have to use this as maybe like a, like some food for thought, and to see like how much that you want to buy to hedge each one. So again, really, it's up to you. Like, how much do you want to hedge? Maybe you don't want like a full to fully delta neutral. Maybe you're fine with only hedging like maybe half of your position, or maybe one quarter of your position, like one third of your position. It's all up to you. And again, like the deltas, and then the ETF shares is going to constantly change, so you have to monitor this like carefully. And then you also have to account for like the erosion on both sides. So you may need more hedge shares of CRSH. And then of course, like as a final one, I think most of you are probably aware of this already, but you might have to watch out for a potential double whammy. It is possible to actually lose on both TSLY and CRSH if you're not careful. So again, I shouldn't have to say this, but like, just be careful out there. And then you could also use CRSH as kind of like a sacrificial lamb. Because in the past, when I've used like some of the pro shares or Direction products, uh, if I'm afraid of like a down move, I'll just buy like some shares of like the inverse ETFs, just to kind of to hedge my position. If the move comes, like say like there's a big nasty like bear move, then I'm partially protected, and then I'll monetize them, and then keep the cash in the sidelines to kind of re-enter. So you can, that's like another approach that you can kind of think of. And then lastly, just to see like if it potentially quality collateral in the future. So I took a look at like again like the updated like Schwab pledge asset line just to see how much money that you can borrow against like these positions. Now, of course, like since CRSH is pretty new, so it's not eligible for any borrowed money. But for TSLY, you can still borrow up to like 50% of your position. So that's something to think about as well. And just as a takeaway, of course, like this is just a pen opinion. In general, please stay on top of your investments and your hedges if you decide to pursue this option. If you like this type of content, please consider giving us a like. Thank you so much for everybody support lately. Of course, I don't want to take this for granted. I can easily lose like subscribers as well. So thank you very much for sticking with me. Of course, super thanks are greatly appreciated. And I'll try to get to all reasonable requests and topics as soon as I can. So thank you for very much for watching. I hope people make some good money out there, and of course I hope people protect their money out there. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.